Welcome back to Nation of Glory, the place where we bring you the most powerful and inspiring stories of Hollywood legends, stories that remind us of the joy, the laughter, the struggles, and the triumphs that shape the entertainment world as we know it. Today, we are diving into the extraordinary journey of one man, a man who could make the world laugh when laughter felt impossible, a man who could take the heaviness of life and turn it into lightness, joy, and satire. He is none other than Melvin James Brooks. The world knows him simply as Mel Brooks, a filmmaker, comedian, actor, songwriter, and one of the most influential entertainers of all time. His career spans over 7 decades, and his story is not only about comedy, but also about resilience, creativity, and the unshakable power of laughter. Imagine growing up in a small neighborhood in Brooklyn, New York, during the Great Depression. Mel Brooks was born on June 28, 1926, in Brooklyn to a Jewish family, the youngest of 4 boys. His father, Max Kaminsky, sadly passed away when Mel was just 2 years old, leaving his mother Kate to raise the children on her own. Growing up without a father figure in a tough neighborhood wasn't easy. Life was harsh, money was scarce, and the world around him felt like a constant battle for survival. But little Mel had something different. He had humor. He realized early on that laughter could disarm people, connect them, and even protect him from the harshness of reality. Comedy became his armor, his sword, and eventually his destiny. He was a small, frail boy who was often picked on, but instead of letting fear consume him, he would make others laugh. His classmates would remember that he could transform tension into hilarity. While the world outside was dark and uncertain, little Mel was busy, training the muscles of comedy. This ability would carry him further than he ever imagined. After finishing school, Mel attended Brooklyn College for a short time before life pulled him in a very different direction. Like so many young men of his generation, he was called to serve during World War II. He joined the United States Army in 1944 and became a combat engineer. He defused landmines, built bridges, and faced dangers most of us can barely imagine. And yet, even in the terrifying landscape of war, he used humor to keep spirits alive. It was said that during those dangerous times, Mel would grab a loudspeaker and perform jokes to cheer up his fellow soldiers. Imagine the courage it takes not only to face the enemy, but to stand in the middle of it all and still find room for laughter. That was Mel Brooks. He wasn't just surviving, he was lifting people up, even in the darkest of days. After the war, Brooks returned home, but life in America had changed. The world was trying to heal, and so was he. He began working as a drummer and a pianist at resorts in the Catskills, where entertainers sharpened their skills in front of demanding audiences. Here, Mel started experimenting with comedy routines. He learned that timing, wit, and the courage to be silly were his greatest tools. The Catskills became his training ground. Then came a turning point. He got his first major break when he was hired as a writer for television's first great variety show, Sid Caesar's Your Show of Shows, in the early 1950s. Alongside legends like Carl Reiner and Neil Simon, Brooks helped create sketches that were sharp, witty, and unforgettable. The writer's room was a factory of brilliance, and Mel stood out as one of the loudest, funniest, and most creative voices in it. It was during this time that he became lifelong friends with Carl Reiner, a friendship that would lead to comedy gold. Together, Mel and Carl created the 2,000-Year-Old Man, a comedy routine, where Reiner played the straight man interviewing Brooks, who portrayed a wise-cracking old man claiming to be 2,000 years old. The routine became legendary. Audiences roared with laughter, and the recordings of those performances remain timeless comedy treasures. But Mel Brooks wasn't satisfied with being just a writer. He wanted to create something bigger, something lasting. And in 1967, he did exactly that with his directorial debut, The Producers. The film told the outrageous story of 2 men trying to get rich by producing the worst Broadway show ever, only to have it accidentally become a hit. At the time, the subject matter was shocking. Brooks dared to make a comedy involving Nazis. Only 2 decades after World War II, many thought it was too risky. But Mel believed that laughter was the most powerful weapon against hatred. His courage paid off. The Producers won him an Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay, and it established him as one of the boldest comedic voices in Hollywood. From there, Mel Brooks became unstoppable. In the 1970s, he created a string of films that are now considered classics: Blazing Saddles, a sharp satire on racism and westerns; Young Frankenstein, a hilarious yet loving parody of classic horror; Silent Movie, and High Anxiety. Each film carried his unique style, bold, outrageous, but always smart. He pushed boundaries, challenged taboos, and proved that comedy could be both silly and deeply meaningful. Audiences adored him, and critics admired his courage. But what made Brooks truly remarkable wasn't just the jokes. It was the way he used comedy as a tool to confront society's darkest flaws. He could take subjects people were afraid to touch: racism, fascism, fear, and strip them of their power through laughter. His films weren't just funny, they were liberating. Behind the laughter, though, was a man with deep emotions and resilience. Mel Brooks had known loss and hardship from the very beginning of his life. That early pain shaped him, but it never defeated him. Instead, it gave him a unique understanding of human suffering, which he transformed into comedy that healed. In his personal life, Mel Brooks found love that defined him. In 1964, he married the actress Anne Bancroft, and their partnership became one of Hollywood's most beautiful love stories. Anne was a star in her own right, known for her powerful performances in films like The Graduate. Yet, despite both being giants in their fields, their relationship was full of warmth, humor, and mutual respect. Mel would often say that Anne was not only his wife, but his inspiration, his muse, and the love of his life. Their marriage lasted more than 4 decades, until Anne's passing in 2005. Even in his grief, Mel spoke of her with such tenderness that it moved anyone who listened. It was clear that behind the laughter stood a man who loved deeply and remained grateful for the joys life had given him. As the years went by, Brooks didn't slow down. In the 1980s and 1990s, he gave the world more comedy classics, such as Spaceballs, his parody of science fiction, and Robin Hood, Men in Tights. His movies became cult favorites, cherished by fans across generations. His sense of humor was timeless whether you were young or old. Mel Brooks had a way of making you laugh until your sides hurt. He also conquered Broadway. In 2001, he adapted his classic film, The Producers, into a stage musical. The result was a phenomenon. The Producers on Broadway won a record-breaking 12 Tony Awards, the most ever won by a single show. Audiences flocked to see it, critics praised it, and Brooks had once again reinvented himself. From film to television to stage, there was no medium he couldn't master. And let's not forget his voice, work, and contributions to animation. He appeared in films like Hotel Transylvania, bringing his comedic charm to new generations of kids. Even as he grew older, Mel Brooks never stopped entertaining. What makes his story so inspiring is not just his success, but his spirit. At over 90 years old, he remains sharp, funny, and full of life. He continues to inspire comedians, writers, and filmmakers all around the world. His ability to keep pushing boundaries, to turn pain into laughter, and to live with love and joy is what makes him more than a comedian, he is a legend. When we look at the journey of Mel Brooks, we see a boy who lost his father too soon, a young man who faced the horrors of war, and an artist who dared to laugh in the face of fear. We see a husband who adored his wife, a friend who shared joy with others, and a creator who gave the world some of the greatest comedies ever made. His life is proof that laughter truly is the best medicine, and that humor has the power to heal, unite, and inspire. So as we celebrate Mel Brooks, let us remember his words and his work. He once said, "Humor is just another defense against the universe." And indeed, his humor has defended us all, lifted us all, and entertained us for more than 7 decades. This has been the story of Mel Brooks, a man whose genius will live forever, not just on the big screen, but in the hearts of everyone who has ever laughed because of him. Thank you for joining us today on Nation of Glory. If you enjoyed this journey into the life of Mel Brooks, make sure to hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more powerful stories of Hollywood legends. Your support means the world to us, and together, we'll keep celebrating the lives of the icons who shaped our world. Until next time, keep smiling, keep laughing, and never forget the power of joy.